Get on board the train, the little children. Get on board the little children. Get on board the train, the little children. There's room for many or more. Step on board.
So many lonely people in the world today, and we need to share our love with them in many ways. And it's a great joy for my wife and I to go into the hospital or the nursing homes and talk with people, share with them, have prayer with them. Because it not only lifts you up, but it lifts them up too at the same time. They are trying to involve senior citizens to increase the interest in their senior life by letting them know that, you know, you might have been retired, but you're not supposed just to sit down, remain at home.
Reverend Renick has been a vital part of Shepherd Center since its formation in 1999. He's been an extremely positive force in encouraging and assisting with our congregational connection to the churches in the area. Reverend Renick's comment was, in his many years of ministry and working for the church, this was the best experience he'd had sitting at the table with people from many congregations and working together.
There are a lot of people who fall through the cracks and aren't served in ways that are needed, especially in spirituality.
Shepherd Center is the excitement that we feel on the mornings when we have our classes, seeing people join together, enjoying and getting excited about learning and excited about what life has to offer.
They can share with people, make new acquaintances. They can enrich their life. I'm reminded of Ms. Jones. One of her talks a while back, she said, you know, the Lord didn't tell you just to wait when you retire, wait until you die. He said, but you got to get up and be involved.
Yes, they sure do help me. I sure do appreciate them. Just gotta like them. You know, it's wonderful.
The things that you used to do, you can't do when you reach a certain age. But they see to it that you receive this type of service. Whether it's food, whether it's going to the doctor, whether your house needs cleaning, whatever you need, human need, you know. And this enriches the life of anyone, because a lot of times people feel that they've been forgotten, you know. Nobody loves me.
When they're feeling alone or helpless, somebody has to be there. And that's the spiritual, emotional part. They need a hug. And that's what Carl does, Carl Renick. He said to me, we are God's hands, we are God's feet. And without us, how are the people going to know? Especially those who are isolated and have lost contact with society. When you go 7 days without seeing somebody, a week. Where is the love? I mean, where do they get that spiritual of knowing that somebody loves them? Somebody loves them.
You know, there's different ways that you can express your love and show your love, rather than just seeing somebody once in a while. But on a voluntary basis, that's what brings life into it, you know. They didn't have to do this, you know, but you did it, share it with them. All these kind of things I think we need today.
Gwen said 100 times to me, it's not about the food. It's about letting you know that the community still cares about you. They know you are here, and they want you to know that they care.
We had ham, yam, coleslaw, hot biscuits, and pudding.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadows of turning with thee. Thou changest not thy compassions.
I know that the individuals in the Old Stone Church who prepare Gwen's meals enjoy the fellowship in the kitchen and enjoy sharing their work with other people.
I mean, I volunteer for this, the Gwen's meals and the transportation ladies to the doctors, and I just find it's time for payback. You know, Judy doesn't have to give me any encouragement. When I see her doing what she does, that's, you can't help but get involved.
Provided, great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
See, we've started already, getting lost.
Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all
Now, Miss Renick, we probably caught you taking a nap, didn't we? Oh, Reverend Renick.
to thy great faithfulness, mercy.
One of the marks of a strong community is gratitude for its leadership. And there are very few people that have given as much to Lewisburg in their senior years as Carl Renick has. We certainly are privileged to be able to celebrate his contributions to the community. And I believe we're richer when we say thank you to people, because it not only is our gratitude to them, it's our recognition of our community life together and how important we are to one another. So I think it's important that we do say thank you, and we couldn't have picked a more deserving individual.
Folks like Reverend Renick. They like him a lot.
He's a really nice man. He's really considerate about people.
Reverend Renick actually says he loves folks, and actually does.
He's been talking to God like all his life.
Each night my father is usually able to get on his knees, and he kneels before the bed and he prays.
Now if you want to hear something plain that you can understand, that's the man you want, more or less a teacher.
People was really always at the core of what his ministry was about.
He is sincere about whatever he does.
You know, it's probably kind of a cliche, but I am a better person for having spent time with Reverend.
He lives his life as a life of grace and faith. Carl has given so much of himself and still is.
I think Carl's probably preached a lot of good sermons, but I think his life's been a sermon.
I was born here in Lewisburg. March the 12th, 1913. And of the family we had the 3 boys and 1 girl. In fact, my sister and I were twins. And she passed away about 3 or 4 years ago. We were very close. When my mother died, well, I didn't know, we were about 4 years old. I don't remember my mother. About 3 years after he remarried. And he got a job. He couldn't find a job around here. But he took 2 of the children, sister, so the hunting, they went away to hunting. They worked on the railroad for about 3 or 4 years. They got a town close by named Gandot. I guess that's town still there. They used to have a big...
The river by that name?
Yeah, real store there. We went in there and got a bag of candy. We sat out on the steps and ate all that candy. Never forget that. Just had a big time. Yeah, Mr. Dad, he was very faithful. He saw to it that we had bread and meat on the table. Took good care of us, the children. And I always remember him. He was a hard worker. They had a year at a time.
That's what Miss Harriet.
Yeah, at the time till they got to the 12th grade, completed that. The teachers were so committed and dedicated to their job. They would spend hours getting very little back in those days, the teachers were. And they did the very best to see to it that we learned something. They were kind about it, but they were determined that we understood what they were trying to teach us. After I finished the grade school, I was employed at the Greenbrier for quite a while.
Carl was working up at the Casey Mountain, and just at the fall of the year, and they had a kind of a little club there. So Carl worked for this old lady, a special old lady, but she liked Carl, so she let him work clear up until the season was out.
I was just a utility man, the kitchen and whatnot. They had a nice accommodation for the employees. 2 employees worked there.
I was 15 in 1930. And Carl was 17.
A weary traveler, his head was a bending low. It
Reverend Dr. Watson, never forget that. Said it was the biggest baptism they ever seen around here. And nobody got sick.
In arms of victory, crowns of glory.
You give me your hand and guard your heart. I don't know what he's saying, but I'm going to give him my hand. It's kind of comical when you're young and crazy.
And I decided to return to school and to finish up. Times were pretty tough back then. So I tried to help my parents out and so forth. Mr. Houck, I used to deliver groceries. Most of the time on Friday he would sell feast. He'd weigh them, wrap them up, and price them, and I'd go around and deliver. In the community. Sometimes I'd knock on the door, somebody would be there somewhere, and then they'd buy them. They were very, very kind about that. And Miss Houck was a good cook, too. Oh, boy. And she'd come on in, Carl, and let's have dinner together on special days and so forth. And I'd help her, too, in the house, kind of clean the house up sometime. Henry Jackson was a meat market. And sometimes I used to deliver for him. We had big chunks of meat, and they had that ice box back down here. Bring it out, snap down here, saw it on it, cut on it. Yeah, Mr. Jackson's a nice fellow.
Did they ever tip you for delivering their groceries?
If they did, I don't remember. In fact, it gave me a smile. It thanked me, that's about all. But I enjoyed doing it because I had to do something. No jobs around here then. I was determined to finish high school, going to college.
And everybody's talking about high school. What are we going to do? So I don't know who came up with the idea. Said, well, I guess we'll have to walk. So off we went, 14 of us. I had cousins in Caldwell. And we stopped and they joined us on the way.
At last, they were able to open up a high school for blacks here in Broward County. And we just were so humble and thankful to God we had an opportunity to do that.
I'm amazed to hear the story of a man who grew up in segregation and yet can tell you what a joy his early life was, what wonderful privileges he had, and at the same time to know that he struggled for an education. He struggled to be recognized for his talents and his abilities, and it could not have been easy.
So I'm not sure whether they joined us in the 9th or the 10th. I think it was the 10th. But there were all kinds of, they looked like grown men to me, you know, because they had been out of school for a while. Carl was how old when he graduated? So
6 years old.
Because he had nowhere to go.
Oh, we felt very proud of ourselves because at last we were able to finish high school. And it's always will be on my mind because I don't think I'd be where I am today if it hadn't been for bowling. Of course, my parents and all, my wife and children, but I can't forget what bowling has meant, not only to me, but a lot of others, as you know. All of them are gone now, all the teachers that I knew when I was a student. There were 14 of us in the graduating class. Of that number, 6 were boys and 8 girls. There's 1 boy left out of the 6. And that's me.
So this northerner was saying, I don't know why these southerners like it so much here, but the answer was service. You would every now and then see in our advertising plantation hospitality, and I think a part of that is the first face you met. The bell stand were always African American from time immemorial.
You had to be neat and clean each time you come on your ship. Shoes on up. And he would give the students an opportunity to return during the summer months to work, and then return to college in the fall. They weren't paying very much in those days. They paid us $18 a month to Belmont. Of course, they gave you a room board. They had living quarters. There was a living quarter for men and women. Then we had a recreation field down there, and we had the dining hall. We had everything down there. They had everything. It's just everybody stayed down there, all black.
Remember in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, if it was elegant, if it was stylish, if it was fashionable, an African American employee would have had a lower level job.
Then you went to Negro, North Carolina,
A&T, yeah.
in Greensboro.
That's right.
What did you study there?
Well, I studied commercial education for a while, and then I went to the technical college. But then when I returned home the first year and went back to the Greenbrier, the summer job, it was slow. The house count was very low. And McKinney told me, well, Renick, there's no opening, you know, you can put me on. And I was looking around for a job. Miss Herrick used to be the head housekeeper years ago. And I wrote to her, and she said, now, we haven't had a porchman here in Greenbrier before. If you would like to become a porchman, we'll give you the job. Now, what we'll do, we'll order your uniform. You know, we used to have a uniform, the Philip Morris boy. Yeah, Philip Morris.
That's right, that's right.
He was a sort of a celebrity, the Philip Morris guy. People knew who he was.
Until then, you can wear a white coat and dark trousers. I said, all right. But she said, you got the promise, man. You're not returning to school in September. You have to work through November. I couldn't tell her no. You know, I said, well, sure. I needed a job. In the mornings, you put out the porch furniture and all, and dust around and clean around, whatnot. In the evenings, you store it, put it back. And it was right next to the spring, but they want any water, anything, service like that, you can do that for them. So I liked it, did a little job, I sure did. I certainly thanked that lady. But
that knocked you out of the fall term.
Oh yeah. I had to go back in the wintertime. They were having quarter system down there. Well, it took 2 years and a half.
I wish I were more like Carl Renick. I wish I could more consistently see the world as a friendly and hopeful place. And maybe Mrs. Renick hears him complain, but I never have.
I was born in Greensboro, North Carolina. And when I was 3 years old, we moved, my family and I and the rest of the children moved to Sedalia. We had a big farm, and we had 2 mules. One of the mules was named Doc, and the other was named John. And Doc had been in the army. He had been branded, but I rode him. But he was peculiar. If you touched him under his foreleg, he would trot. And John, he was okay, but when his ears was turned a certain way, you better watch out because he's gonna be wild. My sisters and brothers went to Palmer Memorial Institute.
That was a school that blacks wanted to go to. It's really the first private black school for African Americans in the country. It's a boarding school and also a day school. And my mother went there. And my mother went to school with Nat King Cole's wife, who was a relative of Dr. Brown.
After I finished, I stayed at the Y. So that's when my courting days came. She was working out in the area too, where the country club was. And I'd try to sit with her sometimes on the bus. And we got striking up a conversation, and she got off where she had it, the place where she was working, and the bus took me on to the club.
When we were going together, he would come to see me before he went to Durham. He'd bring me candy, and I had a little niece there, and she loved him, and she would always come in and eat my candy. She thought he was bringing it to her.
She was very quiet. She didn't have much to say. I had struck up the conversation.
They're always together. It's been a great marriage, obviously.
Well, I can't picture him without her. They're a team. They really are a team. And when he's at church, she's at church.
He had a little shoe shop, and on Sundays he would go to Shine Shoes, open up for a while before church service, and close at church service. And then in 1950 we came here. Well, we visited to here too, but in 1950 we moved here.
Yeah, my father, he was very active in church and community, and then he was janitor up here at the Methodist Church for quite a few years. Lewisburg United Methodist Church.
Really?
I used to help him up there in the evening, dust and clean, and all. And he was janitor at our church, John Wesley, too, for a short period of time. Yeah, that's right, he was janitor at Shuck Memorial, sure was.
Certainly in White Sulphur Springs and in Greenbrier County, it's the sheer volume of the number of employees made it a place you wanted to look to for a job. And also, it had developed a reputation as a good place for meetings, more business, more banquets, and more employment.
And I used to be a porter, a hall porter. Had a good long wagon that you go up on the halls, remove dirty dishes from the closets, made it from the rooms, and bring them back to the kitchen. Put them on a conveyor belt, and you go on back each table. And then after that, I was promoted to room service waiter.
You need a people person to do that job well. Someone that genuinely means good morning when they say it.
He was always very polite. And the other waiters, you know, waitresses, they were in a hurry because their money depended on that. But he never gave anyone a harsh word. He just went about his way. You'd never really know that he was even about. But he got his job done. Polite, kind, yes sir, no sir. And he's been that way all his life.
He said good morning and he meant, have a good morning. I hope your morning is good. You know, they weren't just empty words for him.
They were organized because they joined the union. In fact, we were on strike once or twice for about 2 months, and I stayed over here at the house here with anything to do.
Is he a good father?
Yes, he is. He's very good. He's interested in his children and other children too, not only his. And
during the time I was off, we were off employed about 2 months. I had a man to build a little playhouse back here behind the house for the children. And they used to have a big time, and they're playing Mama and Papa, you know, dress up in their clothes. People in the neighborhood would come around. Oh, they'd have a big time.
okay. Well, when he was going in grammar school over here, he had friends that used to come over, and they had a game, electric game or something that they used to play. The house would be full of his friends playing this electric football game.
Yep.
And I would make cookies, and we'd sit up there and eat. And they just had a fine time.
I remember he was the first one that kind of taught me how to dance, and he was, I don't know if he always wanted his baby sister around.
Certainly the Christmas party is something that's going on for years and years.
They used to have the children, the workers' children to come over and have Santa Claus. Junior went one time, and then some of the neighbors around here wanted Carl to take them.
But they were nice to them. Thanksgiving and knowing Christmas, I used to take them over and bring them back.
He would say train number 47, leaving in 30 minutes from the front entrance. You may go and board the bus. Very proper. I was so proud. I said, that's Daddy's hotel. we own that hotel.
The people who worked at the hotel, from the laundry on up, had a certain culture about them. We went to different schools, we went to different theaters, but we played together along the creek bank. We didn't see black and white, I don't think. I mean, they may have felt it more than we felt it, but I just don't think we saw black and white.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine.
We had leaders that were African American, and they were, you know, learned folk. They were called and committed and wanted the church to understand its call and commitment in the world. If we want to look like the kingdom of God, then we got to do something about that now. Can't wait for the kingdom to come for that to happen. It's too late.
The pastor we had, Arthur Irvin, up here, really encouraged me. So I participated with him. He took a special interest in me. That's one reason why. And I discussed with my wife, Pam. And I went into it. She agrees, she accepts it. Sure, if you want to go into it, we'll go.
Young white ministers just get right out of college and into seminary and off they go. Well, Carl was how old when he graduated?
My first pastorate, I was employed at the Greenbrier at the time. But the first and third Sundays, I would preach at Ronsford and Gap Mills. The second and fourth Sundays, I would preach at White Sulphur and Lincoln. When I was pastoring in Covington Church, St. John Church, it was run down. The rug's been on the floor for about 40, 50 years. Mr. Wright was the president, Greenbrier manager. So Mr. Wright told me, Carl, take a measurement of what you need and come back to me. And I went back in 2 or 3 days. All right, Carl, they're ready to go. And I had a man with a truck to come by and pick it up, took it on down.
Sundays were always just, we were gone the whole time. My mother would pack a lunch.
Like a picnic basket.
A picnic basket. So as we're journeying from one church to the other, we would have lunch. You know, like
in the car.
Side, yes, on the side of the road, yeah, in the car.
And I don't regret a day. I don't regret a day going into it. It was rough.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine.
He's been a person in that struggle who has not hurt people along the way. He hasn't pushed people along the way. He's probably encouraged people that may have been people that would have been opposed to him as a black man. He hasn't hated them. He simply kind of loves his way through. And he does that with a kindness that it's just hard to find.
For 12 years, as a room service waiter. Buena Vista, Indian Rock, Covington, Lexington. Lexington was the mainstay for the Parsonsville Church. We moved over there. Beautiful church. Open beams, pipe art, beautiful furniture.
We first moved over there, we needed a little income. So one of his parishioners suggested I go to the library. She spoke for me.
As you know, Lexington's very historic, something like Lewisburg, and everything revolves around the Civil War and Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee.
The things that I remember is that with my parents, because they normally were around, would be able to make a playhouse out of just cardboard boxes and the furniture. My mother would sew like cartoon characters we would draw on felt fabric.
And manager of the C&O Railway, President C&O Railway at the time, Mr. Tour, I don't know where I was, and they told me. And he wrote me a letter and sent a little check in one day while we were in Lexington. He said, anytime that I can be of service to you, Carl, let me know. Oh boy, that was a lifter. That was a lifter. Yeah, oh boy, that was an answer to a prayer. Yes, it was quite a job. The people were very accommodating. Quite a few were senior citizens. They worked for the government for years and they were retired. The income wasn't bad, pretty good. And we decided we wanted to overhaul the church, inside and out. So what they did, they bricked the church on the outside all over. And then on the inside they remodeled, put a new ceiling in it, and they put a vestibule, enlarging the vestibule coming in from the front.
Our parsonage was, what we lived in was literally right beside the church. And one thing my father would do is each day would go out and talk to the construction crew, and he was faithful every day to check on them, almost like he was a supervisor, make sure that they are working in good spirit. Walk in the light, beautiful light.
but he was very giving. And he worked with kids that came from families where, there was something not good in the household. And in a sense, that was his ministry, was to kind of help people who other people had given up on in many cases.
But he recognized us. He came to 1 or 2 times and recognized us. And I told him, I said, do you hear me? Blink your eyes. And he blinked his eyes. And then he died on 9/11, the night of 9/11. Yeah, we had a memorial service later on at his church. Everybody gave him a good name. Yeah, I think about him very often, but he was prepared to go, I think.
We're not bragging, but they're very good students. Nancy graduated from James Madison College, summa cum laude. Angie graduated from BU, cum laude. And they both graduated from high honor from Northwestern, receiving their masters.
That's what he was there to talk about, was his own experience and his own faith journey. And here again, it would be easy to be bitter about that, or to focus on the places where opportunities hadn't been available and where there was greater effort needed than perhaps if he'd been born in different circumstances. But there wasn't a trace of that.
I'm just a little afraid. Oh, help me, Lord, to stand up and be a man and fight segregation as long as I can.
We all were born, God created us, but I think the law is implanted in you that you were different. I mean, that you could not receive the same treatment. The color stand in the way, and because of your color, these laws, they equate you as being indifferent from other people because of your color.
On the train, we'd have to change, and they had a station in the back. And if you wanted anything, you'd have to go and ask, food. And we had to go to the back. We had a window back there if you wanted anything to eat. And the sitting room was in the back too. It's different now, though.
Yeah, but in my hometown, I know certainly if you'd like to go in, say, the drugstore. Go in the drugstore and get something, but you can sit down and because of the laws and eat like other people doing, laughing and having a nice time. But you have to buy yours and walk on out, And then the restaurant, talking about the restaurant down there too, you weren't permitted to go in and sit down. You'd go to the back door, go to a sandwich or something. They let you go to the back door, and it just gets on your nerve, you just cringes, you fill up with anger. It's your money's as good as anyone else's money, but yet they refuse to serve you like citizens in the dining room. You have to go to the back. So, you can't forget these things, but we're glad that I know that we thank God that things have changed up quite a bit, but we have a long ways to go yet. And then there's 2 or 3 ways to look at it. There's good people and there's bad people in the world. There's black and white, good and bad. And of course, I think the attitude that you maintain and that you practice has a lot to do with your relationship with people. But God says to love your enemies. And those who persecute you, and to say all manner of evil against you, fall from my rejoice. Big scene like that. That's pretty hard to do. But, now a lot of times I speak to people. That's just my nature. Smile at me, regardless if they don't speak to me, that's all right. I'll open the door for a person if they're behind me. It's all right. But I think, on the whole, a smile begets a smile. In most people, some people don't. In raising our children, we try to teach them to respect people. But then you have to defend yourself. Know how far to go and what to say. Some words are encouraging, some are discouraging, some are bring about anger, you know, fear, some bring about joy and happiness. That's the way we look on life.
He reported the facts, but it was done with a kind of a sweetness, you know, a kind of just simply reporting the way things were, and how in the midst of all that he'd found blessings, and he'd found people whose lives had touched him and had helped him, and that he wanted to be a conduit where that was passed along. It was we all cried. Makes me want to cry to think about it.
And fight segregation as long as I can.
A quiet servant, tending to the details of life and making life far richer for each and every one of us.
He just knows who he is, and he's not puffed up. You know, he just knows who he is and what he's able to do, and he's able to do a lot.
And I think, according to him, he's still got lots to do.
He went about his life in a quiet way, but he made a big difference. He's special.
Yeah, Reverend Renick is an example of what Christians will be. When you learn to be good Christians, you know what you are? You are a saint.
So it's been a great joy to work with the fellow ministers in living up the gospel, because you never know the impact you might have upon those who are listening at you. And it lifts you up, and hopefully they lift them up too in the meantime in our relationship with each other. So I'm just grateful that I feel very honored that God has given me this opportunity to do something like this.
In the Bible, when the Apostle Paul writes to the saints or writes about the saints, he's really talking about people who try to follow Jesus. They're not people whose lives are necessarily exemplary or who are finished in any kind of way, completed in any kind of way. But as we understand the term saint, it means more than that to us in our contemporary life. And I would have to say that that Carl Renick would be among the saints.